going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new review and breakdown as we're going to get into Zenkaiger, episode number 42 for you guys today. So close to the finale, and what a fantastic debut that we wind up getting from the future 46th Super Sentai series, as we got a debut of Don Momotaro for the very first time in here this week. So we're definitely going to be talking about him plenty. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the theme here this week, as well as respects to Jiren as well, who continues to be one of my favorite characters, to certainly say the least. I don't necessarily know if I'm as old as Jiren would be in human years per se. He definitely feels like he's probably got some more age and experience on me, but I continue to just appreciate the idea that he is sort of the older one in the group, if you will, that everybody truly looks up to him, if you will, some like a big brother, and even in this episode referring to him as like the dad of the group. I can definitely see how people would certainly fall into that line of thinking when it comes to somebody like Juran. Really him kind of stepping out in this episode, really being the only person to be capable of doing much of anything in here, really having to carry the load, save the world, save the city, if you will, and Juran definitely did everything that he certainly could. You know, I will say this, a little honorable mention to my girlfriend in here, definitely reminded me that of Juran in the sense of just how cold they tend to like it, whether that be summertime, wintertime. I'm usually the one in the house that's freezing. There's a reason why I'm wearing my hoodie today. Hands are always cold, sort of thing, right? It always feels cold in my household, and so the fact that Juran likes the cold and everybody else is suffering because of it, yeah, definitely reminds me of me and my girlfriend's relationship, to certainly say the least. When it comes to Juran, again, I definitely appreciated him in this episode. Even loved all the dancing, homeboy working up a sweat, trying to do everything that he can to get his teammates sort of back, if you will, to help them out. But I will say, if anything, when it comes to Juran, I appreciate sort of the attention that everybody definitely gives Juran at the end of the episode for all the hard work that he put in. You know, being an older gentleman and doing all that activity is no easy task. So the fact that they're out there giving him massages, talking about making him his favorite, you know, dish and stuff, I thought that was actually pretty cool. Although it felt a little bit weird for me to kind of see Kaido along with Zox fighting and like doing rock, paper, scissors to see who's gonna scrub this man's back in the shower, if you will. I just definitely made me chuckle. Like, I've never seen so much enthusiasm to wash another man's back in the shower, sort of thing, until Zenkaiger. So I definitely had a little bit laugh with that. Really, the man of the hour, though, in this episode was definitely Don Momotaro. Even though he only gets a few minutes of screen time on here as a great cameo this week to really get us excited for the upcoming season, I really enjoyed it. First impressions was fantastic to me, getting the opportunity to see what the costume looks like in HD quality, moving around, especially in a fight with that cinematic battle that we had. Very showy, which should not be surprised to us when it comes to Don Momotaro and even going into the next season. So I love the fact of just seeing the GoPro or the drone sort of shots that they have going up and under, as they have some really dynamic sort of fighting attacks here in this episode. Even getting the opportunity to see Don Momotaro use the Zanglass sword, I thought was actually pretty cool too. It is a sword and a weapon that I'm really looking forward to seeing utilized in the future. So if anything, I almost, you know, going into this preview or going into this particular episode, I want to say over the past couple of weeks, I have been hearing a lot of people talking about the idea that when it comes to Don Momotaro, they believe that Stacy, there's a theory, or at least a rumor, that some people think that maybe Stacy might be Don Momotaro, or at least there's some hope. I think this particular episode kind of solidifies the fact that that's not necessarily the case, right? Two things in here. One, Stacy's clearly in bars when we come to find him in the Toji Tendo prison at the end of this episode, so there's clearly no place that he can do like two places at once. Also, the idea of Don Momotaro being in this episode, he doesn't sound like Stacy at all, and I even love the little reference to Two Kaiser at the end when he says, oh, usually the illusions, you know, they disappear right away. This guy kind of hung out a little bit more than expected, so it doesn't feel like it was an illusion in a sense so much as it was maybe actually calling Don Don Momotaro himself to appear and definitely help out, sort of thing. So I thought that was actually pretty cool in how it was handled here in this week's episode. So I'm under the impression that Don Momotaro is not Stacy, and he is in fact an original character, certainly going forward. It definitely seems as though he's got himself a little bit of a gimmick. Also, I'm assuming if laughter is his thing, you know, when I'm watching Ultraman Trigger right now, and Kengo's gimmick that he likes to say is smiley, smiley, like all the time. It's just a repetitive ass gimmick, right? Probably as repetitive as some people when you look at Lucky, and he always uses the term lucky, or other past Red Rangers that have been maybe so overly excited, if you will, type of thing. Some of those things can kind of get annoying rather quickly, but it feels like the gimmick for Don Momotaro is going to be laughter. He says something, he says, let's all have a good laugh, and he goes, ha 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 ha, like it's just a super forced laugh sort of thing. Whether or not, I mean, look, nothing seemed funny. I think even Jiren says, why is he laughing? There's nothing funny going on. I love the fact that it feels kind of forced. We'll see how it plays out as the season goes along and how much they actually use it, but it does feel like Don does have a little bit of a gimmick certainly going forward. And we even got the opportunity to see the debut of the Enya Ride-On along with the Don Zenkaiger, seeing what it's going to look like. Not only getting the opportunity to see Juran and the bike itself form and turn into the Don Zenkaiger. So we not only have an idea of what it's going to look like, but also a little bit of a teaser in regards to battle. It actually wind up having a Zord battle here this week, and I actually did not mind the CGI so much in this particular sequence. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't mind the CGI as much, because you guys know it's a love-hate relationship for me right now when it comes to the turning into CGI battles for the Zord stuff. I think it had a lot to do with just the setting, the idea that it was at night, right? That you had like a fire or heat kind of brewing, so it did give like this orange glow to the darkness. It almost made the CGI kind of look better because it wasn't just out in the broad ass daylight, if you will. And I think because of that, it definitely hides some of the lack of detail, if you will, when it comes to the CGI. So the Zord battle in here I thought looked great. I didn't even think it was a little bit of a step above what we've seen so far when it comes to Zenkaiger's Zord battle CGI wise. So I honestly didn't mind it here in this episode, but again, going into Don Brothers, it is something that I am going to be really iffy about. The CGI Zords and the CGI characters, just in regards to how they look in the world that they're presenting to us. So we'll definitely have to see how that goes along, but great little first impression, man. Love the opportunity to see his peach, exactly what his peach does in regards to, like, it felt like it creates a barrier or an imprisonment around the enemy before they go ahead and sort of strike their final blow. So I thought the little team up that we got between Don Momotaro and Juran really worked for me here in this episode, and it definitely has built my levels of excitement going into Don Brothers here within the next couple of about a month and a half or so. So definitely looking forward to it. And then really the only thing for this episode that honestly, those are really the only two things about this episode that I really enjoy: the Don Momotaro stuff and the Juran stuff, because the theme of the weekend here in regards to the Kotatsu, look, I've never personally heard of a Kotatsu. I never knew what a Kotatsu was until this particular episode, but I gotta be honest, holy crap, do I need one in my life. I think it's such a cool little invention. It's literally so simple. The idea of like a table with a heater underneath and then just an extended blanket that everybody can like cozy up against, sort of thing, right? Keep your legs and most of your body sort of warm, getting that heat. Just talking about it right now, especially in the middle of winter. I mean, talk about just perfect timing to unleash the Kotatsu. I'm really fascinated by it. I kind of want one in my life, honestly. I think every household definitely needs one. But outside of my fascination for what a Kotatsu certainly is, I truly didn't really care too much about the theme or the villain here this week. Like, I never even truly understood how the transformation into a cat works by sitting by the Kotatsu for so long. Like I'm wondering if it's because of the fact that you sort of become as lazy as a cat and don't necessarily want to move around so much, right? But from somebody like myself that's sort of separated from the Japanese culture, it's definitely a reference that I certainly didn't get, but I'm assuming that's why they transformed into cats, because the amount of laziness that just sort of takes everybody over, right? That idea of I just don't want to leave, guys. Like I just don't want to get out of here. I'm so cozy and warm. I definitely understand that aspect. So maybe that's where the reference certainly was coming from. But other than that, I didn't really care for it. Like, I feel like there are a few occasions where sort of diving head first into the theme hasn't necessarily worked for me, and that's one of Zenkaiger's true things that they've done all season long. When they find a theme, they really sort of embrace it. This time around, didn't really care for it so much, but was at least fascinated in regards to learning something brand new and wanting a new piece of furniture for the household. And then last but not least, guys, we got ourselves a little bit of a what the F moment in regards to Gege also. The idea that at the end of this episode, we get the opportunity to see Stacy imprisoned, upset that Ijiru sort of threw him under the bus, but understanding like, hey, if I did some traitor ass shit too, I probably would put somebody else in prison, so I definitely get it. But the idea of Gege using Stacy's body now, I had no idea he had that ability to either swap out bodies or at least inhabit a body by just looking at somebody. I mean, I'm continuing to learn more and more about Gege each and every week, and he continues to become such a fascinating character to me. I am going to be intrigued to see how this works with Stacy. Like, is this a case of swapping bodies? Like, is Stacy and his personality now inside the Gege bird, or is Gege sort of maybe still in possession of his own body but now is possessing Stacy too? It definitely is going to heighten up the remainder of this season, at least in next week's episode, in regards to seeing our Zenkaigers really going to have to face off against Stacy, but not quite the Stacy that they certainly know. So how far can Gege hold on to this masquerade? How much more powerful will Stacy maybe show that he truly is with somebody like Gege inhabiting his body now, right? There's a lot of questions that I have, but the fact that Gigi's been manipulating people, been working behind the scenes behind Overlord Bokawasa's back, and is now taking control of Stacy's body, what are you up to, bro? I need to find out what Gigi's motives are, because it seems as though he's definitely going to have a significant hand going into the next season of Don Brothers. So it seems whatever he's planning is just laying the groundwork for maybe a bigger scheme that he certainly has. So I'm really fascinated to learn where that's definitely going to take us. And in regards to just quick honorable mentions, we did see a brand new gear utilized in here. It looks as though not only the 46th gear to bring Momotaro to help, but also the Zenkai cannon itself wind up using, because it was cat themed in here, wind up using some cat mastery fighting power in regards to other cat sentais that were more hand-to-hand combat, if you will, in regards to their fighting style. So interesting stuff in regards to the choice of gears. But other than that, guys, you know, an okay episode. I think for me, again, what really saved this episode was the Don Momotaro stuff and the Juran. Don was truly the highlight, but other than that, I didn't really care too much about the episode. It was just with the exception of some really great moments to kind of help bolster it certainly a little bit more. But you know, for me, it's one of those things. I think like some people, because of the fact that we had Don Momotaro in here, maybe they might have loved this episode or thought it was great. For me, I need a little bit more than just a great cameo and some great moments from one character to really do it for me. So I didn't mind the episode, but it was just okay to me at the end of the day. But listen, guys, I want to know your thoughts. What did you guys think of episode number 42 of Zenkaiger? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And until next week, guys, we'll definitely talk with you later. And feel free to comment in this comment down below, and we'll definitely continue this discussion until next week's episode. But until then, do me a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Full throttle, non-stop. Have a good one, guys. Bye.